Hello, everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. It is a delight to come and share a half hour or so hanging out with really cool people who want to learn and grow, who want to learn how to thrive in change, which is what I'm all about. And if you don't know, what I mean by thrive and change is that I believe that we can, how do I want to put it? We can have our roots being nourished even if our leaves aren't blooming. Our insides can be nourished and we can get wisdom and health and strength inside, even if it doesn't show on the outside. In the midst of chaos, I believe you can thrive and change. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, how to thrive in change. So, welcome everybody. I want all of you to check out thumbroastcoffee.com. That is my favorite coffee. And that is what I put in my mug every day. And I know you will love it too. And if you want to give it a try, you can order your own thumb roast coffee online. Even if you don't live in Michigan's thumb, you can get thumb roast coffee online. And when you go to thumbroastcoffee.com, like it says on the screen, woohoo, you type in Thrive, Thrive, you get 15% off. Awesome. All right. So let me know if you enjoy that too. Drop a comment or send me a message on Facebook, something. If you're enjoying the thumb roast coffee, let us know. Tonight's change principle is hashtag trust the process. Trust the process. And doesn't that sound like, oh, piece of cake, right? Except for, what if there doesn't seem to be a process? My husband and I are in the process of purchasing a company. And part of this process for us involves working with a government agency. Another part of this process means we're working with a bank. Another part of this process of doing something wonderful and exciting, like getting a company, it's awesome, but we've got so many processes. So besides the bank and besides the government agency, then we've got a business broker, and then we've got the owner, and then we've got each other. And each one of us has a process that we follow through all of this process of purchasing a company. And sometimes it feels like no matter what we're doing, there is no process. And I got to thinking about, I'm not the only person who's experiencing that. So I want to talk about it just a bit. And hello, everybody who's popped on and said hello. I love seeing you in the comments. Mary and Carol and Margaret and Missy and Jerry. Awesome to have you here. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I want you to know you're welcome as well. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to learn and grow. It makes our whole world better. All right. So we're talking about tonight. Hashtag trust the process. Processes enable ordinary people to do extraordinary things consistently and predictably. That's the beauty of a process. When there is a good process in place, it allows you, it allows me, it allows ordinary people to do things that are amazing with some predictability and with some consistency. And the beautiful thing about a process is that it works regardless of how you feel about it. All right. You don't have to love exercise for it to work, right? Am I right? You don't have to love exercise for it to work. You don't, because it's a process that when you follow it, you move your body and you get more flexible. You get stronger. It's a process. You can hate it the whole time and it will still work. That's the beauty of a process. So that works not just with exercise, that works with so many things in life. How about this? You don't have to love it, but you do it anyway, and you get a good result from it. Getting up in the morning, right? Don't always feel like doing it. When you do it, good things happen, right? Consistently following that process of getting up in the morning. Maybe you make your bed. I do. Making your bed. I didn't always, by the way, so no judgment here if you don't. But I discovered that having that simple process of immediately getting out of bed or getting out of bed and then immediately pulling the covers up made it less likely for me to get back in the bed. So you might want to try it. Take a tip from me. The process of getting up in the morning and making your bed immediately helps you to not be tempted to go back to bed. There you have it. Writing, maybe you're a blogger, maybe you're writing a book, maybe you're writing in your journal. That process of writing, whether you feel like it or not, just knowing I'm going to do it every day and it's going to yield a good result. Taking time to eat lunch, taking care of our bodies, right? So processes. So before I jump into talking a little bit more about a specific process, I'm just curious, drop in the comments, what processes do you follow? They don't have to be fancy schmancy and you don't have to describe them, with 100 words, but what kind of processes do you follow? I've already shared with you one of mine. I make my bed as soon as I get out of bed in the morning. Another process, while you're typing, drop in your process in the comments. Another process I follow is to get up earlier in the morning than I need to actually be somewhere, and spending time in prayer, in meditation, in reading the Bible, in just reading a book, being silent, sitting, really cool. That's my process. And if I don't follow that process, I feel it all day long. What kind of processes do you guys follow? Let's see, in the comments. Drop them in. I'd love to hear them. And as you do, I'll share them. So pop them in and I'll share as we go along. We a lot of times don't realize the processes that we follow, and it's important that we do. It's really good to be aware of the processes that we follow that work. All right, so understanding when we're in the midst of great change, if we want to thrive, understanding that there are processes at work can be very, very helpful. Very helpful. All right, for example, one of the highly renowned models of the change process is by someone called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And many times you've heard this process when we talk about dealing with grief, but it's actually representative of the process that we go through when we're dealing with many changes, even if they're big or small. So let's see, Margaret has a process. She goes to bed at approximately, here, I'm going to bring you up here, Margaret. All right, so Margaret says, I go to bed at approximately the same time every night, and I have tons of work processes too. Yeah, just that process of I'm going to go to bed, my body knows I'm going to go to bed, makes the process of falling asleep much easier, right? And then tons of work processes, yeah. All right, let's see, Michelle. Michelle says this, every night I get all my clothes ready for the next day and my lunch. Makes my rush morning so much easier. I don't feel like doing this tonight, but I know I will regret it in the morning if I don't. Boy, Michelle, did you ever hit on something there, which is, I don't feel like it, but I know tomorrow I will regret it if I don't do it. That is, how do I want to put this? That demonstrates what I'm saying about it. We don't have to like it for it to work, right? We just have to do it. All right, so this is what Carol says, taking my vitamins every day. Yeah, it's a process. You just keep doing it. And you know that even if you don't feel like it now, eventually that process is going to bring a benefit. Missy listens to a podcast while I'm getting ready for the day. Oh, I love all these positive processes because they're so forward focused. I love it. It's excellent. Well, when we're dealing with big change, such as what the Kubler-Ross model talks about, this is the process we often go through. So a big change happens. You can fill in the blank on your big change. I'm sort of tired of using COVID, but come on, it's big and it's here. So maybe we'll use that. But whatever change you want to think of, this is the process that people go through to work through the various stages of change. This is number one, shock. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. I can't even compute. Shock. I don't understand this. This is so out of my realm of everyday and normal that I have no idea what to do with that information. I'm shocked, frozen. Then comes denial. Oh yeah, I don't think it's as bad as they say. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure they're overreacting. I'm sure, fill in the blank, right? Denial. This change is not happening. Then anger. This should not be happening. This is not fair. I had a lot of plans. I had a trip scheduled. I had a cruise. I was supposed to go to Disney. We were supposed to be in Hawaii. The list goes on and on. The big change happens. Shock, denial, and then doggone it, we're mad about it. It's not fair. We didn't ask for it. We're in total anger about the whole situation. It shouldn't happen. Next comes depression. Oh gosh, but it is. Oh man, it shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. And it makes me sad. Yeah. Those big changes that we don't like so much, eventually that process of dealing with the change says, we're going to get depressed about it. Now, there's no prescription for how long we spend at each one of those stages, right? And I'm seeing some thumbs up. People hear what I'm saying. There's nothing that says that we have to stay there for a certain amount of time, but this is the process we follow. Shock, denial, anger, depression, and then comes acceptance. I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to have to deal with it. And that's where some action starts to happen. Sometimes it's very small, but that's where the action takes place. And you guys know, if you have watched Sunday Night Live for any length of time at all, you know action brings results. So that's the point where things start to shift in that process of dealing with change. And then the last stage in the Kubler-Ross model is integration. Now that change is a part of my everyday. For good or for bad, whether I loved it or didn't, I've processed that change and now it's integrated into my life and I can deal with that. Yeah. Carol says this, new ways to do things, take action. Yes. And she says, thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you guys for being willing to expand your horizons enough to take an action that hopefully, I'm confident tonight, you're going to get some insight on the action you need to take next for you to start integrating the changes that have been happening for you over the past few months or weeks. So you probably know somebody like my friend Allison. So Allison has 3 school-age kids. She works from home, and so does her husband. So I have seen Allison once a week for the past couple of months. And this is how her journey has been. All right, so August hits, and it is clear that school is on the horizon. And Allison was in total shock. Like, I just can't believe the summer is already almost gone. I can't believe that we're already here in September. I just don't even know. I don't even know how to deal with this. The next time I see her, this is how our conversation goes. You know what? I am sure, certainly they're going to have this school stuff figured out a lot better. And they're going to be taking into consideration that there's a lot of working parents, and I'm sure that they're going to come up with something that's going to make this a lot easier for me. Denial, maybe a little bit. Then I'm not even exaggerating, you guys. The next time I see her, she's just enraged. You know what? They still don't know what they're going to do. School is almost here. We have got so much that we have to be able to plan, and we can't do it until they give us information. It's not fair. It's not fair. And it wasn't fair. It's not fair. Those of you who have kids know what I'm talking about, but it's not just with kids. This has happened to all of us over the last few months. The surprise that came our way that we just couldn't even believe was there. ignore it and it'll go away, minimize it and maybe it'll make it smaller, never works. Get angry and outraged, and then just depressed. I'll never, she says, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. We do not know how we are going to deal with this situation with our kids going back to school and us working from home and trying to navigate all this. It was a lot, and she was depressed. And then that change model, the process was unfolding. As she's gone through all those steps, she gets to the point where she says, okay, so it is what it is. Respect the now, anybody? Hashtag respect the now. It is what it is. She says, all right, I know we are going to have to figure this out within our family because the schools don't know what they're doing yet. And so we're going to have to take a look at the information we have, just deal with it and be flexible as we move forward. Acceptance. She accepted it. All right. I know this is the current situation. It's not the situation I choose, but I can deal with it. And then finally, the report from last week was, okay, we figured it out. So we figured it out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. They had a plan. They were holding their plan loosely because they weren't sure if it was going to work. But they decided as a household to be easy on themselves, show themselves grace, and start to take some actions that were going to help them to integrate that change into their family. And she said, I know we'll figure it out. We're just going to have to take it one day at a time. You've heard that phrase. That is not a trite phrase. That's a great one. Take it one day at a time. What am I dealing with today? What am I dealing with today? My husband and I, as we're navigating the process of getting this company, every day wake up to a new pile of emails with new instructions for new pieces of paperwork that they request, or new information, or new places that we have to be to sign. And every day we get up not knowing, but trusting that the process is going to work. I'm just going to take the next step that I need to take, and then things will become more clear. And every night before we go to bed, we say, everything that I could do today, I did. And tomorrow, I'll do it again. That's how processes work. You can't stop and freeze in the middle of walking out a process. We've got to keep moving, even if it's just baby steps, even if it's just saying, all right, you know what? I feel terrible. I'm depressed about this, but I understand. I'm going to have to do something about it. I'm going to make a phone call, right? I'm going to make a phone call. I'm going to see who can help. The reason processes help us so much is two, actually. There's two really good reasons, probably more, but two in particular. When we're going through major change, the two reasons that knowing the process of how change unfolds in our life, when we know that, number one, we know we aren't crazy and we're not alone. That is so important. Knowing this isn't just me. I'm not just losing it. This is how it is for everybody. Everybody spends a little time in denial. So I'm not going to beat myself up so much. It's part of the process. I'm not going to look backward all the time and say, why didn't I get on the bandwagon sooner? No, we understand. I had to follow a process before I could get to the point where I could take action. Now, there are ways, and certainly here on Sunday Night Live and on Thrive and Change, the ways that I recommend for you to move through those stages quickly and efficiently is to use those Thrive and Change principles, right? To every day, bring the honor, respect the now, trust the process, and find the beauty. When we use those four tools as we're going through those stages of shock, denial, anger, depression, acceptance, and integration, when we can bring the honor, show up as our real self with a mission and a purpose, when we do that in the midst of great change, that helps us work through those steps faster. When we get out of denial and realize we have to respect the now, right? It is what it is. I can't deal with it until I acknowledge that it is. If you're hearing me, give me some thumbs up. Or if this is resonating with you, drop a comment and encourage somebody else who's watching this by sharing a bit of your story, how a process has helped you deal with change. All right, so my friend Allison took great comfort in knowing that there was a process that she was going through, that there was something happening next. Something happening next. When we are following a process, even if we don't feel like it, we can know that there'll be a result from this process. We know there will be a result. So this is what I want you to consider tonight. Tonight, as we start wrapping up, I'd like you to consider, what processes are you using to help you get ready for what's next? Hi, Zippy. Can you say hi to the Sunday Night Live people? Zippy says hi. She loves me. She's purring. You can hardly hear it though, because she's got a nasal problem. Poor little girl. So I want to know, what is your process? What process are you going to use to prepare yourself for what's next? To get out of the doldrums, if you will. There are processes for just about everything. You know the process you follow when you're feeling down in the dumps and you want to get happy. For many of us, it's popping in that CD, says the old lady who's teaching Sunday Night Live. I do listen to digital music. I do. I use Spotify. So you crank up Spotify with your favorite songs, right? And you know that's going to get your energy level up, which then allows you to start moving. You've got a process. Did you know that if you were to have an issue in your life and go to Google and ask, what is the process for fill in the blank, it would give you an answer? You might not know the process, but there is one. In times of great chaos, there's even a process that goes along with chaos, because it eventually starts to settle down. As we've seen, as we've been trafficking through this pandemic, right? Carol says this, so many things, church online, Zoom, prayer online. So these are the processes that Carol is following to give some consistency and some purpose in the midst of this great change that we've had with COVID. Church online, Zoom, prayer online, but it all worked. And we still had good church. You've still grown. You've still worked, right? Because you own a business, done business, and all has thrived. Thank you. And the rest of the people on our calls and teams all have helped me so much figure out the next step. And we have all moved forward. Yeah. Part of the process is this. We aren't in it alone. We've got to link arms. That's why I am always so delighted to see you on Sunday Night Live, because you are linking arms virtually with others that want to learn and grow and thrive in the midst of change. And you're willing to learn how to do that and then apply it. What action are you going to take next in your process? If you were to Google, I used to get, I'll share with you personal experience. I used to get really, really nervous whenever we would start a new team. When I worked within the Postal Service, they would start a new team, and I was often on it because of the role I played. I was very involved in communications, employee communications, and change management. So I would get very, very nervous every time they started a new team. And then I went to a team training that told us how to have good teams, and they shared this process for how groups form. And when I heard the process that groups go through, I was not nervous anymore, because I understood what I was witnessing was actually part of a healthy process. So for those of you who get nervous whenever you're going to go be part of a new team, or you're going to a new church or a new school, maybe you're starting a new job, you're coming into a group, I'll just throw them out there for you. These are the steps of how groups form. They form, then they storm, then they norm, and then they perform. So highly effective teams do that very, very quickly when somebody new comes in. But sometimes teams are dysfunctional and they formed and then they stormed because, you got to figure out everybody's personality, right? Jostling around. Who sits in that chair? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Some jostling. So the team forms, then they storm. But then once everybody's figured out their place and the personalities learn how to work with each other, now there's some normal things that happen, right? And we know what to expect. And once that norm hits, that's what enables a group to be able to perform and perform well. So there's a process. So I'm not saying that it won't be unfamiliar, that you won't be uncomfortable, that the new things that are ahead of you aren't going to, in some ways, cause some fear. But I can promise you that there's a process for moving through that you can look forward to. All right, so Missy says this: I made part of my process writing down my truth. Emotions can lie, so I write down who I am so I can go back and read daily. Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful, right? The process that's there, even though the emotions aren't always in line with it, right? I can tell you this, that your emotions are not the boss of you. They're a byproduct of what you believe. And when we change our beliefs, and there's a process for that, there's a process for changing what we believe. There's a process for unprogramming ourselves from the crud that we maybe learned when we were growing up in a dysfunctional home. There's a process for that. I use that process every day in my coaching. Carol's loving the form, storm, norm, and perform. Yeah, it is cool. It takes a lot of pressure off when you're a team leader, as I have been many a time, and watching things come together and it's feeling like, oh my gosh, this is never going to gel. Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will. Especially if you're a good leader. And for those of you who are part of Livestream Leadership, you know how to help a team to be a high-performing team. So you know it's not going to last forever. All right, you guys, this is amazing. Anybody else want to share? What is your process? What's the process that you trust? Because at the end of the day, when everything else is chaos out there, there is a process that you can trust. As you know, I'm a Christian. My process that I trust when everything else is falling apart is this. The Bible tells me, don't get tired in doing the right thing, because eventually things are going to work out if you don't give up. I cling to that. I cling to that. That's, like Missy said, that's my truth. And my emotions don't change that one iota. It is what it is. It's actually a scripture that says, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. And I learned that way back in the day. But gosh, what a beautiful process. Keep doing the right thing, and eventually it's going to work out. It's a process. You've got a process. There's always a process. Even if none of that has a process, you've got one. And your process may be, I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be resilient, and I'm not going to give up. Pick your process. If you really want a great one that is tried and true, use the 4 Thrive principles. Always bring the honor, respect the now, trust the process, and find the beauty. We're here for each other. Find the others, link arms, be an encouragement to each other. Thank you for everybody who contributed in the comments. Thank you for sharing your truth, what you believe, what helps you to navigate that crazy change dynamic that isn't always fun, that shock, denial, anger, depression, acceptance, and then integration. It all sounds so formal when it's written out, but when we're living it, it's not so easy. And Carol throws an invitation out there, and I echo it. For those of you who would like to lead yourself well, if you would like to link arms with others who are in the process of becoming better leaders by leading themselves better, I invite you to be part of Livestream Leadership. We are still in the founding members phase, which means that it's your opportunity to jump in and be part of a live mastermind group 3 weekends or 3 Saturdays a month. And it's for one low rate. You get a workbook, you get great conversation, you get the power of the mastermind. And because it's the founding member process of the Livestream Leadership Program, there's more things being added every month to make it better and better. I would love for you to grow with us. Carol, thank you for the reminder. Carol's in our Livestream Leadership, and it has been powerful for her as she shared. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for being here. If you or somebody you know wants to link arms with people who want to grow in how they lead themselves so that they can learn more processes, right? To have more influence, to be able to be extraordinary in a predictable way, even though we're just ordinary people, I invite you to reach out. Just drop me a comment, send me a Facebook message. Say, I want to know more about the Livestream Leadership Program. I would be glad to share it with you. With that, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.